What's good, everybody? It's your boy Sunny, and I'm back again with another episode of Sunny Talk. And on today's episode, I'm here with a very special guest. I'm here with my boy Brandell. What's good, bro?
What's good, my brother? How's everything? How's it going?
Everything's good, bro. Everything's good, man. We live in life, another day above ground. You know how it goes.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it. Definitely excited to have this conversation for sure.
I appreciate you making time to come on the show and just kick it with me. But
Of
on this show, well, before we get into anything, let the people know who you are and where they can find you, or a brief summary of who you are.
course. Well, as you said, my name is Brandell. I'm just an ordinary guy. I mean, I don't come with like all these medals and things like that. I don't I'm not the type of person to kind of save accolades, but just for the sake of conversation, like I've gotten into a lot of things, whether it's, investing. I did my thing, digital entrepreneurship, which I'm still doing. But the reason why I'm also not mentioning anything direct is because I'm still testing, my foot in a lot of waters right now. So just to put it simply, I'm from New York City. I was born and raised in New York City. I have a Dominican background. Um, I have a daughter as well, so and just a little bit about what I want to the type of things that I want to accomplish. Basically, I want to obviously make an impact, whether it's on the community, on our people, or my family. Obviously, family is always going to be there, so that's always a priority. But
Hmm.
my main goal right now is to make an impact in any way, shape, or form that I can with the things that I know, with the things that I learned in entrepreneurship, whether it's financial literacy, my knowledge on the markets and things like that. That's a little about me right there.
Okay, that's what's up, bro. So that's good. That's a whole bunch. So you kind of got your hands in different baskets. All similar entrepreneur type of things, self-sustaining type of things. So it's like it's good. I see your mindset. You're a hustler, for lack of a better term.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like in my life, like I've also like worked in a lot of fields. Like I worked in a restaurant for like 8 years, and I also had my hand in construction and stuff like that. So I've been in the service industry. I've had to create things with my hands. I also did my hands in music for a little while. So my creativity was always on the jump. You know what I mean? Like I've always wanted to do something. So, I always keep my mind open on the things that I can get into, stuff like that.
Okay, so so on this podcast, I like to start from the beginning and work our way up to the present day. So, where were you born and raised? Take me back to those times.
So I was born, my family lived in the Heights when I was born in Dykeman specific.
Hmm.
I was born in, forgot the name of the hospital, but when I remember, I'll mention it, but I was born, in New York. I bounced back and forth between Uptown and Bronx, South Bronx, like around the 167 area. So
Uptown
I
being
was,
where? Cause for me being from the Bronx, I went to school up in like 2 and 5 line, but yeah, so like for me that
got you.
so there's a couple of different uptowns if you're from New York. So uptown where specifically?
Yeah, so uptown, like Dykeman
Okay.
207th Street area, like that type of uptown.
Okay, okay.
Because I know the Bronx go further up. So I know
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes when people say uptown, they can mean that area.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I grew up in that area and then I bounced around between there and the South Bronx, on 167. So but I went to school in the Heights, in Manhattan for a couple of years until about 7 years old. I moved to Dominican Republic. Um, I went to school there for 2 years. For just I don't really talk about certain things, but basically to put it to you, like I was in a situation where I had to be in Dominican Republic for a certain amount of time. I couldn't come back. I was young. I didn't really understand what was going on around that time. But what was told to me was it was better for me to be there for as long as I was there you know, because of certain things that was going on. But anyways, yeah, so I went to school over there for 2 years. I lived out there. It was a total different experience from obviously me going to school here. I was able to learn Spanish fluently. I was able to read Spanish, write Spanish. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I could break down a whole like, you know, the whole business sequence, but I could defend myself in
Tú te
Spanish.
defiendes. I was literally about to say the same. Yeah.
Exactamente. So
Yeah.
that was good. So then I came back in 2003. When I came back in 2003, I forgot my Spanish a little bit. And then when I came back, I didn't come back to live in the Heights, and now I'm living in 167 in the Bronx. So I'm 9 years old, just coming from DR. I don't know, I don't know anybody. I don't know the lingo. My English is a little messed up. It took me some time to learn how to read. Eventually I caught up. It took me like a couple months because I was always I was a quick learner in
Hmm.
school. Like I always liked math. Like math was my thing. I didn't like the ELA part, the writing essays. That part to me was the most annoying part of school. But when it came to numbers, math, I could do that with my eyes closed. So since I was that type of kid, I learned fast. So it took me about 6 months. And then yeah, and then through
Yeah.
there.
So
Mhm.
hold on. Just we speedboat a little bit, but I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
take it
my
back a little
bad.
bit.
Got you,
So
got
so take me back to you living in DR. Obviously, I know you said that you don't like talking about the subject too much. We don't have to. Maybe
that's
one
fine
day when you start your podcast, you could let the people know your journey and all these type of things that happen. I'm not
for
gonna,
sure.
push on any of that. But take me back to that day when mommy told you, yo, all your shit ready. We going to DR or whatever. Like, just take me back to that
Yeah.
sequence of events and then the eventual move.
Yeah, it was funny because it like one, it wasn't even told to me. Like
Hmm.
I just went to Dominican Republic and then after some time, like I was there for so long that I'm just like, yo,
When we going
what
back?
am I doing here? You know what I mean? Next thing I
Yeah.
know, I'm going to the school. I got this uniform on, and it's a Catholic school on top of that. So
Hmm.
I don't know if you know, but Catholic schools back in those days, like they were really strict.
Yeah.
So but yeah, man, it was scary because it was new. My I was 7, so my Spanish wasn't even that like sharp.
Hmm.
But I knew people. My dad was somebody who helped the neighborhood a lot. So when people would see me, people would like they basically see my dad like when they see
Yeah.
me. So I was safe as far as that. But yeah, bro, it was a different culture. I didn't know the language. Obviously, I had to learn math in Spanish, which was weird, but it was crazy. But it was at the same time, I felt like obviously now I could speak about it because I'm older, but it gave me an advantage because now, even when I read certain documents that I get in the mail or certain things that I could read in Spanish, but yeah, bro, it was different. I was treated different because people knew that I was from New York. That's another thing. That's one thing
Yeah.
I
So
feel
were
like
you a
anybody.
celebrity or did they hate?
I wouldn't say celebrity because not everybody treated me kindly, right? So it was kind of like it was like bullying, but it wasn't physical bullying. It was
Oh, it's
like
kind of you were
you know
ostracized.
yeah, yeah, like calling me names and like playing like cruel jokes. Like we play hide and seek, and I'll be told to go to like the deepest of the deepest. Yeah, it was things like that, all because I was from New York. Yo, in fact, when I got there, I had one earring. Like I had one of my ears pierced. I didn't have the other one. And yo, that people had a field day with that. Why do you have
Yeah.
your ears pierced? Yeah, that was like that was a thing. Like it was crazy. I got a haircut one time, and I used to like to get the
The
thing here.
lights.
You don't know how many people like came up to me asking me if I was part of this group or that group. Like it was
Oh
crazy,
wow.
bro. It's different out there for sure. You know, it's
So
definitely different.
take me to that moment where you're here for a couple months. You're like, damn, I'm starting school. Like, how did you go to your parents and ask, like, yo, are we going back or like what?
So I think my parents was strict and not strict. They were very smart about it because one, like I said, I wasn't told. They didn't tell
Mm,
me, yo, we're moving to DR, we're doing this. It was kind of like I was already there. I was there for a long time. You know, at the time I had a Nintendo 64. So they knew to bring it with me to keep me out there entertained. I didn't like, like I was one of those kids. You give me a console, I was lost in my own world. So it was one of those things where like I don't know, it's weird. Like now that you ask the question, it's weird. Now it's like I came accustomed to it. Like
Mhm.
I realized I didn't have no other choice but to be like, okay, I guess now I'm here. So I don't know if to answer your questions. It's like I
So
didn't
there
know
wasn't a moment of realization, like, oh shit, like I'm not going back.
if there, you know what, okay, I'll tell you when it was. I have a sister.
Hmm.
My sister didn't live, my sister stayed here. I lived in the yard. So
Oh shit.
yeah, so my sister came to visit me, and I was 7, she's 4 years younger than me. So I was 7, she was like 3, she was way younger. She was
Hmm.
basically still a baby. But when she would come visit me, it would hit me because it was like, yo, this is my sister. Like it's like somebody you should be seeing every day, but you don't see them every day because you live separately. So I guess
Yeah.
in those moments I would realize like, damn, maybe I've been here a little too long. I kind of want to go back.
Hmm.
And there was a time where I asked to go back and I was just given the runaround, like I was told that I was gonna come back this day, but I didn't, or that it was gonna take this long. And mind you, I'm already going to school there. So I was there first and second grade, and then I came back in the third grade. Um, and yeah, man, it was, and I met people, I built relationships. Like I said, I had situations where I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or I didn't run as fast as I should have because I didn't
Yeah.
realize what was going on. Like it was a lot of those.
So what bring me can you give me an example of that situation?
Like there was one time where there was a guy that I used to hang out with, and he had a crush on a girl in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so he made me believe that the older sister, who obviously was a girl in the neighborhood, he made me believe that the older sister, if
Yeah.
if I helped her, if I helped him get the girl that he liked, that the older sister will automatically like me. So, we doing all these like petty things, like we're like because she lived in like a building complex. So we would go to the building, go to the floor, stand there, make noise, get her attention type stuff. So one day he took it like an extra level and he started being really obnoxious. I can't remember exactly what he did, but it started to bother people. And he didn't tell me that her dad was in the military. And over there, military personnel do not play with their kids. So dude chased us. I ended up getting caught. And as I said, my dad, thankfully enough, knew people that when he was taking me out of the building, he was walking me to his truck. He parked it. He had a private parking. When he was walking me to his truck, somebody recognized me and spoke to him. He didn't take me nowhere. Called my dad. My dad came, and obviously,
Hmm.
that situation was handled. But that was one of many. There was another time I
And
went
he already
to.
knew your dad?
He No, he didn't. I don't think he did. I think if he
I mean, but you
did,
didn't do nothing though anyway. Like
no,
you
I didn't
personally.
do anything wrong. His daughter just complained, and obviously, as a father, like your daughter says, "Hey, this is boy bothering me." You're gonna do what you can. But
Yeah.
he was strict about it. He was obviously as he should. But I wasn't. Everybody knew who her dad was, but me, because
Hmm.
obviously I'm not in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
My Spanish is not too good. I don't talk to people, so he took advantage of having a company to come with him and do the shit that he was doing. So that was one of many, many, many situations. I could go all night, literally telling you examples.
Damn, so you feel like people I mean you did say it was somewhat picking on you, but it was kind of more of a, like an infatuation, like oh the American guy.
Yeah, I think like, obviously people got their perceptions about it, especially at that time. Like we're talking about early 2000s. So, if I could remember anything of like people from DR and how they perceived people that come from New York is that you were rich.
Yeah.
You were popular just off people knowing that you were from New York. And um the con to that, like my dad was a people's person. So it didn't I would say, he may say differently, God rest his soul, but it didn't really work for him that one, he was a people's person and he had resources. So he was always helping the next guy. They knew who I was. It was I don't even know how to tell you because yeah, I could sit here and say they bullied me, but these people have a whole different type of lifestyle. They live like under different rules. So, there's so many reasons why they act the way they act is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say. So
No, yeah, I
I don't,
definitely understand. It's a nuanced thing. Yeah.
yeah, like I could say bullying just to simplify it, but who knows what it was? You know
It
what
was
I'm saying?
culture shock, it was bullying,
Yeah,
it was envy, it was curiosity, it was everything.
it could have been, yeah, and it's kids we're talking about. When I talk about adults,
Yeah.
talk about kids. So, that could go in so many ways. But yeah, man, it was definitely a culture difference. Living amongst people that made the best of what they had.
Hmm.
That's one thing I learned about living up there. Like
Appreciating
having
life and
little,
shit.
yeah, having little and just having fun with the little stuff. Like yo, people used to cut hula hoops in half and put them like in a rainbow shape and put the Christmas lights around them just to have Christmas spirit in the neighborhood. Like that to me was dope. You know what I mean?
The
Like you
fire.
like yeah, that is little things like that that you see and you're like, wow, like
Yeah,
you may not have much.
making something out of nothing. Word, yeah.
Yeah, bro.
I
It's
could
definitely
definitely relate. Yeah. Okay, so you were mentioning also going to school, having to learn how to it's kind of like just learning how to learn somewhat again in this new
yo,
language. Yeah.
perfect. You hit it on the nail. You hit it on the
Yes.
nail. And a
So
lot of
you
the things I had to
mhm.
learn, I already knew. I just had to learn the language of it, or like even how to answer the question.
Yeah, because how is it that like like me as a bilingual person too, like I was gonna ask you how is it that you process like the different languages? Because for me it's like it's not like it's weird because like they say something and it's not like I hear it in that language. I just know the meaning. You get it? It's weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like it's funny because I was having this conversation with a Mexican friend of mine,
Hmm.
and I was telling them that the thing about Spanish with Dominicans, right, is I'm assuming you're
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So and I told them I was like the thing about you know our way of speaking Spanish is that because it's all Spanish, right?
Hmm.
Is that we speak from a place of like exaggeration,
Hmm.
right? Like we speak with a lot
Storytelling.
of yes, like we do that a lot, right? So that's one. What I've also noticed is that we're very animated when we
Hmm.
speak, right? Very animated, very and then but the thing about like as far as like spelling and like let's say like phonics, as far as like the way that Spanish people use words is very simplistic when you think about it because they literally sound out the letter the way it sounds. Like you see, like we could say the word the and the H could be silent, right? But unless you explain that to somebody, like as a kid, if the teacher didn't tell you, hey, the H is silent,
Yeah,
probably would have made a whole different sound. In Spanish, everything it sounds out the way that it's supposed to without well, most words that I know.
yeah.
Obviously, it's a whole alphabet, but so I don't want to sit here and say that it was easy for me, but I think I don't know. I found this simple because I caught on quick. That I will say that like coming from the States and having to go to school, I think the hardest thing was to like make friends because of the culture difference. But as far as like, the words and reading questions or like answering the questions is very simplistic. I don't want to dumb it down and
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that it's easier than English learning, but the language is just so simple. And maybe it has to do with background, maybe it has to do with, being the fact that our
I
parents
mean,
came from that
you
background.
also were like 7 years old, so the
Right.
complexity of the education isn't that high. You get it?
Right, right,
Yeah,
right. Yeah, like I didn't have to learn so much at once. I was able
because
to take my time as well.
for me, the shit that kicked my ass, even though it's not that like hard, but once I got into like taking high school level Spanish and shit, when they
Hmm.
hit you with the vos y vosotros and all that shit, I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, 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 yeah. High
and
school
us
level
being
Spanish.
Dominicans, we don't even use none of that.
Yeah, high school
Oh,
level
pues,
Spanish.
none of that. You know?
I had to push through that one.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I like my high school Spanish was Latin, so it
Okay.
was different. I that was when I learned what Latin was. I thought Latin was, simply, and maybe it's because of my ignorance, but simply Spanish and maybe a
Yeah.
little this, a little that. But yeah, I high school Spanish was definitely different from what we know in Spanish. And it's weird,
Okay.
like where do they get the information to put together that type of Spanish curriculum, right? Like I don't
I mean,
I don't know.
I get what you're saying because it's like because basically what it is also like the in the English because all we're learning in that Spanish, like let's say for us, our Spanish class, all we're learning is spelling and like dictionary terms, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
We
right.
we learn like basic conversations, shit, conversational
Yeah,
language. Yeah. So
that makes sense.
maybe yeah, it is like a speech class more so like instead of a literature class or something like that.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like because it's funny you asked that question because it's like I mean the Spanish is a whole world too, so it's like
Yeah.
you can't expect to just learn the same thing. So I guess it comes from that aspect as well,
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
okay, so learning like just catching up in school is pretty easy for you and everything. And so then you move back, you're 9 years old, still young. So and
Yeah,
then you only had 2 years, so it wasn't that long of a time you spent over there.
yeah, no, it didn't, and it like when I talk about it, it didn't obviously it didn't sound like that long. It felt like I was there, or just because of just all the new that just was just hitting me, and I was learning. Obviously, at some point, I became comfortable enough to know how to maneuver without feeling comfortable. But you know, coming back, I w- I wouldn't say because obviously going to DR, I didn't live out there. You know what I mean? My first language because of my mom and it's what she would speak at home was Spanish. Um, but as far as like the country, I wasn't familiar. So coming back, it wasn't like, oh my God, everything is brand new. But everything that you don't know or you forgot just exposes itself, right? All at the same time. Like I could remember like the first time when I was in the classroom in third grade when I came back and I had to read a sentence off a book and I couldn't do it.
Mhm.
I simply couldn't do it. Like I couldn't do it and
How did
I
you
was
feel in that
silent,
moment?
embarrassed. Because in DR, it was different. DR, I was almost I could if I can remember correctly, I was almost the smartest kid in class. So, I was speeding through things, but
Yeah.
here when that happened to me, I was embarrassed. I didn't know who to trust. People were actually, all the other kids were like laughing at me and stuff. So, um, yeah, and then luckily I had an aunt that lived in the same block as me.
Hmm.
And after school, she would spend time helping me read and
Okay.
reading the questions and things like that. So I had to have that help too.
That's good,
After I
man.
after I came back, yeah. So she helped me catch up for sure. She's somebody in my life that I'm always thank. That moment was pivotal for me.
That's great. That's a shout out to her.
Sure.
Where where okay, so you coming back, kids was on you. So you said it took like how long did it take you to bounce back?
I would say I say 6 months because we used to get these tests, these practice tests every month, and
Hmm.
like the first two, three, I flunked them. Like for math and ELA, I flunked them, and then I remember
Oh,
January.
sorry, so they put you in an
No, no,
ESL class when you came back?
the ESL was the is the it's a dual language one, right?
What the fuck?
I don't know what's that. I don't know what's going on.
Is
It
it your
ain't my
birthday?
birthday, I'll tell you that. Nah, it ain't. It's not.
I didn't hit nothing. I didn't
I
hit
gotta
nothing.
check the settings. I don't know what's going on. Um,
Um,
what was I saying? Damn, that distracted. The balloons distracted.
damn, who the fuck is hacking us? But what the fuck
They
was I
wiped
gonna
them.
say?
They
The
oh
ESL class. You said the
oh yeah
ESL
yeah.
class was what?
Was that's the bilingual classes, right? Like the
Yeah, yeah, but then so I wasn't. I thought that ESL was just like they'll take all the people that don't speak the languages and put them in a class together.
That's what I thought. That I'm just making sure that I'm not getting it confused. But no,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
in it. I was in a regular class. That's another thing. Like they wanted to put me in the ESL class, but my dad was like, "Nah, we're putting them straight." And they even wanted me to start fourth grade. They didn't want
Oh,
me
over.
to start. Yeah, no, no, no. When I came back, I was going into third grade, but they wanted me to start fourth grade, and my dad was like, "No,"
Why? Because it was your
because
birthday, like in after the what?
I don't know the details,
When's your
but I
birthday
know
month?
March 9th.
I think it's because of that. Because we second half, so at the end of the year, we're already the year going to the next year. Oh
Oh,
no,
and
yeah, yeah,
maybe it has to do with the time that the R finishes school or something. I don't know.
probably. Who
I'm just
knows?
I'm just throwing a
Oh,
guess,
oh well,
but
you were smarter. You said you were smarter down there, so you was probably killing it.
yeah, yeah. So, but my dad was like, "Nah, like
Hmm.
I don't want him to skip anything. I want him to start wherever he got to start or whatever." So I started in the third, and no, I wasn't in the ESL class. To answer your question, that's what
Okay.
I wasn't in the ESL class. So they wanted me to, but my dad was like,
Yeah,
he's
nah.
not retarded. He don't know English. He just gotta catch up. So,
Oh
he
yeah,
made
it's
sure I
not that
wasn't
you
kind of.
don't know. It's not that you don't know English that you need to relearn.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So he was just like, nah, we're
So
not gonna slow down.
during your whole time in the ER, you didn't speak English at all? Because for me to think about it is like, I mean, I feel like I would still know English. So
I
you
didn't have anybody to speak English with in the
okay?
my whole family in the R was Dominican. Like nobody was. I had a cousin that would visit me, like when the school was all for or whatever. Like my uncle, who was my mom's brother, would bring his son, which is my cousin that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He would come and we would speak English. But besides that, bro, I was friends with Spanish, at home was Spanish, school was Spanish. So I'm telling you, it was like a whole 180. Like it was no English for a long time, and then to come back and then make English a normal thing again was a challenge for some time.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So you said you failed like the first few tests. So about a year later. So you did the whole first year kind of like iffy. Do you feel like that in that summer you like hankered down and like really try to study and figure out some shit?
Nah, because it took me 6 months to like really get my English good enough and to
Mm.
understand how to read questions and stuff like that. So to be honest, like in the middle of third grade, I was already good. Like I
Years are
was
back.
I was
Okay.
yeah, I was passing tests. I was on point by like the middle of third grade. So it didn't take me long to relearn. I just needed the extra hand, I guess you could say, to
Yeah.
know what certain things mean. And then as far as like making friends, like it was like the same in DR. Like I got along with everybody. You know what I mean? Like I didn't really pay attention too much to intention. Like, I was a kid that liked to play video games. So I just assumed everybody wanted to do the same or like to do the same.
Oh, I was gonna
Um
ask if you got to link up with any old friends, but you were kind of young and then you moved to
nah,
167.
yeah, I
So
was I was super young. I was too young. Like when I came back, my link ups were my cousins. Like I
mhm.
got to see my cousins that when I would get out from school before I moved out, I go to my grandmother's house and it would be like 6 or 7 of my cousins. So I got to see them again. That was a whole thing, seeing them and stuff. But um, yeah, like as far as like the people that I surrounded myself with or like that, associated with, like, or people I call friends, other kids in the neighborhood and stuff, like I got along with everybody. I had a very overprotective dad. To
Mhm.
to be frank, like he was in the streets doing street things, so he wasn't present at home all the time, but he was present in the case where he was only a call away. He would always come home. He wasn't, like he wasn't a bad drinker or he wasn't a physical person. He was very calm, and that's why I say like he was a people's person because everybody got along with him. He was that type of dude. So even like older people that would see me, in New York or whatever, it was very easy for me to connect and feel safe in certain places. I always felt like somebody was watching me and stuff.
That's what's
So
up.
that played a part in getting back into, society of things.
Okay, so then you're back in the swing of things. You mastered English again. So take me through your experiences growing up in the Bronx mainly.
Yeah, no, so I went to school, I went to school in Third Ave. It's called Kappa. You probably heard of it.
I think I've
Um,
heard Cap is a private school, right?
nah, it was a public school, but it was one of those schools that was like in a building with other schools. So there was Kappa, and
Okay.
then there was not 22. I think it was 218 or 219 or something, somewhere in
Okay,
there. It
so
was
okay, so it was like a special program school inside of another school. Not
yeah,
even
yeah, one of
special, but it's
those,
just like they be having different names.
one of
Yeah.
those, one of those. So
So that was
I
middle
was
school?
there.
Well,
That
that
was
was pre
middle school, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that was middle school. That was from fifth. I went to 114, third and fourth grade. And then I went to Kappa from fifth to eighth.
Okay.
That was on Third Ave, on 170. Is in front of the projects.
Third
Um,
Ave and 170. Okay, in front of Webster. One of
yeah,
them
yeah,
Webster
yeah,
projects. Yeah. I know what you're talking
yeah,
about. Yeah.
yeah. So I went
Oh
there
wait,
a
Third
couple
Ave and
years.
17. Oh no, I went to Webster, not Third Ave. Okay, so that's like that colorful around where that colorful building is at. I think it's like a high school
I
over
haven't
there.
been there so long, so it's
Okay,
probably
yeah,
now it's probably is a high school or something.
yeah.
But
Okay.
it has like a picture of like Malcolm X, I think, in the front or something. I don't know if it's still there, but I'll
Okay.
I'll, I'll probably send you a picture later.
All right, yeah, I'll throw
Um,
it in here if anything.
but yeah, so I went there. That was definitely different because I was if you know anything about Third Ave in the Bronx, especially around that time, it was definitely different back there. However, I made great friends, great experiences, a lot of life lessons. That's where I got into all my fights. Uh,
Hmm.
like that school, like my grade, because it was from fifth to eighth. So my grade always had problems with the higher grade, with the sixth grade. But like after every year they're higher. So we was in sixth, they was in seventh, we was in seventh, they was in eighth. But it was like the type of like we would set up fights by the bus stop in front of the school. One time they had to make it so the precinct had to escort us to the bus stop to make sure we got on the bus and not it was a whole thing. But it was I can't even put it in one word, bro. It was just different.
Do you
That's
ever
so
think about
different.
like do you ever think about other like not countries but like others states they don't really go through that type of shit like probably like the LAs and the Chicagos, you get it? Like they
Yeah,
probably go
yeah,
through that type of shit, but like for the average
yeah,
person in America, that sounds
yeah, for
foreign as fuck.
sure. For sure. No, but it's true, bro. It's true because like, you know, one thing what I will say about my school, and because at the end of the day, every school is different. And I think that around that time, the people that worked at the school made more of a difference than the school itself, if
Hmm.
if, if you catch my drift. So even though like the area and even like the environment, the community was static, the people in the school were actually the
Quality
type of teachers.
educators.
Yeah, like till this day I remember most of their names. You know what I mean? And it's simply because like I had a math teacher that he taught us the multiplication table through songs, through like rap songs
Oh,
that he would
nice.
that he would write, and he would make us sing along in the class. And you had people who weren't good in math passing tests because of things like that. So there was a bunch of teachers that did that. And so to answer your question, like I don't, you know, even today, I don't hear a lot of teachers really go above and beyond. Now we have technology, so it's a little easier to do so. But
Hmm.
I don't hear a lot of teachers go above and beyond like that. And I don't think, and being that there's not a lot here, I can only think in like, in other places, in suburban places, where it's like you don't really get taught the life lessons that you get taught. You just get on a school bus, go home, or get on the school bus and go straight to the school. And the only time you get to talk to those friends is in that school ride. You know what I mean? We had to walk down the block. We went to the Chinese store. You know what I mean? Sometimes
You
we
went
didn't even take
mobbing.
the bus. Yeah, sometimes we didn't take the bus. We walked the whole way to Grand Concourse, like passing 22, and like, and then you see all the kids from 22 coming out. Like, bro, that all of that. Like, I don't think there's a lot of places where that happens. Like you said, maybe in Cali, Cali, the schools have a lot more yard too. Like if you
Mhm,
notice, like in Los Angeles, so they get to be outside more often. But I don't think every kid gets to experience. And maybe I think they get to experience that more like in high school and in college.
mhm.
Like us, we like when I
In
got to
early
take the
middle
train in high
school,
school.
yeah.
Yeah, when I got to take the train in high school, I was used to it because of the time that I had to take the train in middle school. So
Yeah.
that
It's,
was definitely different.
that shit is a complete like like for me, like real quick, I'll just add like for me, like it was a complete culture shock. Like when I moved, like because I grew up in the Caribbean until like I was
Yeah.
11 in St. Croix, U.S. Virgin Islands, and then I moved over here and like the complete culture shock, like my first week, like people fighting, cutting ass OD, because they'll cut ass over there and shit, but it's not like over here. There's like a certain like it's more like yo, this, that, and that. Like, look at this name brand that you got on, and yet the other. You get it? It's
Literally,
more like
yeah.
malicious. Like over there, it's kind of
Yeah.
playful, like cutting ass. Like they won't even really
Like
cut ass. We're just making
yeah, like
jokes. Yeah. Here is
Yeah,
more like
over here, like you go home with it and come back.
yeah, no funny
You
shit.
know
And
what
you're
I'm
thinking
saying?
about like, damn, I'm really a bum. Hold on, I gotta fix my shit up. Ma, yo, I can't get
Yo, yeah, no lot. No,
yeah,
you like we laughing, but it's really like that. It's like,
yeah,
and I think that's what differentiate New York. And I don't mean to down any other state, any other city. I love everybody. You know what I mean? I respect where everybody comes from. But that's why when we go to certain places, like it's just a different aura. And it mainly, in my belief, everybody can have their own opinion, but it mainly comes from the experience that we go through just living here. You know what I mean? Going to
yeah,
school, having to defend yourself, having thick skin. Like there's not a lot of places that's gonna mold you. But New
okay.
York is definitely a place to do
Not
so.
yet.
So,
Not yet. Should definitely get crazy. So all right, so then what high school did you go to?
so I went to Irving. I went to Washington Irving.
Washington. Irvin.
That was
Where's
in
that?
14th Street on Union Square.
Okay, okay, yes, yes.
I went to Washington Irving. It was funny because like I picked it because of more than 50% of kids at the time pick their high schools. Their friends go there. They want
Mm-hmm.
to be with the gang.
And then
Um,
none of them niggas ever get in, and you're the only one that
and
gets it.
no, they get in, but they don't go to school.
Oh
They don't
yeah,
go
all
to
that.
school, so it's like, damn, I came in here to not go to school. But yeah, no, I went to high school at Irvin. Again, it was kind
How
of
was
like the
that?
same ordeal. It was the same ordeal, like you know,
Was was it not different though? Like see a different environment? Because for me, I went to high school in the Bronx, and then after high school and everything, I came down to the city, to the Union Squares, y esto, lo otro. Like for you,
got
was
you.
it? How was it? Like
Yeah, no, it was different in the sense because obviously the environment is complete 360, Third Avenue to Union Square. Um, you know, I think that was the first time that I got exposed to, because we have the New York culture and then every borough has like its own
yeah,
flavor. So I think when I started high school, that was the first time that I got to meet like a Brooklyn person, like somebody from Queens. And it's not to say that all of them are the same, but you know what I mean.
it's
Like
just a different aesthetic that comes with it.
it's
Diff
something.
different
Is
stories, different lingos,
literally the way they dress, you know what I mean? Yeah, like you said,
different
different
culture.
lingos. It's just different. So that was definitely eye-opening. High school in general was different for me. Like I'm gonna be honest, like I knew what high school like was, from obviously talking about it in school and the things you see on TV and movies, but when I got there and I like saw how much it had to do with your future, that to me was like shocking. Even to this day, like I'm still like I like one thing I do when I try to when I try to talk to like the younger generation is dads tell them like yo high school pay attention and definitely be intentional But yeah,
Yeah.
like high school, I got along with everybody. Um, I didn't really go through like any bullying like situations or anything like that. And my school wasn't good either. Like my school, a couple years after I left, 'cause I ended up leaving my last year of high school. When I found out I was having my daughter, my senior year, like a couple months in, I ended up dropping out when I found out I was having my daughter. But it was closing down 2 years afterwards. Like that was already set. That like I remember the day that they announced it. Matter of fact, Hector went there as well. That's where I met
Okay.
Hector. Yeah, that's where I
Okay.
met Hector. I have a friend that I grew when I came back from DR in 2003. The first friend that I made, he's like a brother to me to this day. He went to Irving, and he had met Hector first, and then when I came, he introduced me to everybody, and then like he was a junior when I was a freshman, so um, basically my freshman year, I was basically like with the crew, like I was with them, like up and down and around. And then senior year, once he started getting less classes, he was in school less. Like all the seniors, they spent
Yeah.
more time out than in. So that's when I kind of got to, I guess, maneuver by myself. Like meet my own crowd and hang out. With the people that I wanted to hang out with. I hang out with everybody, bro. Nerds, the bad kids. I had this thing where I knew my limits very early. Like I started smoking in the seventh grade. You know what I'm saying? So I started smoking
Yeah.
before I got to high school, but I had already made a decision that I wasn't gonna do anything crazy. Like, yeah, I drank here and there, in parties, experimented on like party, like pills or whatever. But it was probably once or twice. But other
Mm.
than that, like never got I was never excited to do the shit that everybody else was doing. Like, I was very to myself. So I was very conscious of a lot of things very early. A lot of things, I could look at it from a certain point of view from far, I guess you could say. But at the same time, I took a lot of risks. Like, you know, my mom was strict. She didn't want me out, at all hours of the night. There were times where I would break night in the streets, knowing that when I came back home, I was gonna get my ass whipped. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I went through a lot of that for like a couple months. Like, I would say even a whole year. Got my phone taken away. I was able to buy my own phone, raise the money to buy my own phone. Um, so I was kind of like a rebel, but I knew my limits. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I was a sophisticated rebel. Like I didn't try to do the wild stuff. You know what I'm saying? So high school was pretty balanced for me. Like I didn't go through anything traumatic in high school. Didn't get bullied. I got into a couple scuffles, but it wasn't anything violent. You know? There was violence on like Irving was crazy back in the days from the Patria dudes to the Crips to it was crazy. People were hiding machetes in the telephone poles when they got out of school. It was wild, but I was able to, just maneuver, still make those friends, still make those connections just in case.
Make your
Like
way
I ever,
through.
yeah, yeah, like I knew how to do that a lot very early. And I think my time in DR had a lot to do with that because I didn't know the language, but I had to maneuver. I had to defend myself. I had to learn how to talk, how to pay attention to body language because in our Spanish, you could say something and mean something else. So
Yeah.
you got to pay attention to the body language, to like you know what I mean, the tone and what you're saying. So
Yeah.
yeah, like high school was different.
Yo,
You know,
so take me
yeah, go ahead.
take me back to that moment when, well, just the whole process of having a daughter so young.
Bro, it was scary. Like it was scary. It was definitely, I was a senior in high school. At the time I was working my first job too. I was working at Chipotle. I was
Mhm.
working at Chipotle.
Early.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That was my first job. And Chipotle, that's a whole nother story. I get into that. But I was working there, and then when I got the news, the way I saw it at the time, obviously, and I don't regret it, was the final decision is not on me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I could state my opinion, and I did. I said it straight up. I young, I'm still in school. I just got this job. I don't got much money, but I wanted to know. Like, I didn't want to leave any doubt after that phone call. So my only question was, is it gonna happen? Yes or no? Obviously, the answer was yes. And right then and there, I like literally, I think I must have went to school another week. After that week, then go back to school. I started working. Uh, I kind of told the manager that I only needed like a couple credits to graduate or whatever, because he was those type of dudes that like, you're gonna make sure you go to school or stuff like that. So I would have told him, I know he would have tried to talk me out of it, but I had already made my decision. So I was just trying to start working, start making more money. And I ended up doing that, ended up saving. Um, Me and the mother at the time, we didn't really like, it wasn't a relationship at that time. By the time that news broke, we were already 4 years into a relationship. But at that time, it was already like the very end. So I was showing up to the appointments. Uh, you know, I was 19, so she was 18, so she was younger than me. No, I was 18 because when my daughter was born, I was 19. But when all this was going on, I was 18, she was 17. So everywhere we went, like, it's either our mom taking us or like another adult. So other than that, like we wasn't spending a lot of time together. I was just making sure that I was present when I needed to be present. So I went through that. At that time, I was doing music. So I was going to the studio a lot, trying to work on that, trying to work on music. Had a friend that I met a couple years before that he was a producer. He went to NYU, had a degree. He knew his thing. And I linked with him. Me and him was doing music. He met through somebody else. Long story short, because that's a whole nother thing. But the person that he met in some way, shape, or form scammed him from the studio equipment. So one night that he was working and I wasn't there, they went in, and the studio was, you know where it was? It was on 170. Where the McDonald's is at on 170? On the
Yeah,
corner
yeah,
where
yeah.
the Jimmy Jazz, I think it is. I don't know if it's
Isn't
still
that
Jimmy Jazz.
Townsend?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you first go in that block, there's a building that's like a two-sided building, has a big gate. It was on the first floor, and you can access the living room through the window that's outside the building. It's kind of like how 1170 is.
Hmm.
How it's outside, like it has two sides, except in the middle there's windows to the living room of that apartment. So whatever, they went in there, they took the equipment. That was a whole situation. So that was stagnated. Um, I ended up leaving Chipotle. I ended up working somewhere else. So now I'm at the other job that I'm at. It's the same thing as Chipotle, but it's just a whole different concept. It was kind of like a Tex-Mex thing. And this is where like, I've me coming from the background that I have, a lot of my family, like they're really good cooks. Like, you know how it is when we get to family parties, bunch of
Yeah.
people in the kitchen all adding their own flavors and stuff. Um, so I took a liking in it. I
Yeah,
started
you was
working in the
passionate.
kitchen. I was passionate. I became a manager, so I started making really good money. Um, my daughter was a preemie, so she gave birth 5 months and a half um into her pregnancy. So she had to stay in an incubator for like a month. So I had to visit her in the hospital for like a month because she had to learn how to eat and stuff like that. So I went through that as well. That was a little nerve wracking. But then when she got out the hospital, I was living with the mom in Sheepshead Bay, in Brooklyn. We lived together for a couple months. Um, things didn't work out. Just to put it simply, between the relationship, things didn't work out. And I've always been the type of person where I don't like to be the catalyst of setting an illusion, right? So at that time, the advice that I was getting from a lot of people was, and my daughter was about 6 months. The advice I was getting, you gotta be around, you gotta be present, you gotta try to work it out. And I did, I did a lot of things around that. I was only going work and coming home. Um, but long story short, it didn't work out. I ended up deciding to moved to my mom's house in the Bronx. My daughter's still living with her mother in Brooklyn. So on the weekends, on my days off, I was always going over there to visit, coming back and stuff like that. So that was a challenging period as well because, me and my mom had a little situation or whatever the case may be. So that complicated things. So that was all challenges. That was all difficult, but long and behold, um, I don't wanna like keep going through the story. So I don't know if you wanna,
No, yeah, yeah, yeah.
so you want me to,
No, I get it.
yeah,
I get
I
it.
don't wanna, yeah, I don't wanna take over because I
No,
can
I
keep
get
going.
it. No, I
I
get
can
it.
keep
You, y'all got through it and all that. No,
going.
yeah. Okay, no. Just to, well, okay. I feel like we could when we come on, we could get later on in the next podcast. We'll get deeper into these stories and stuff.
For sure.
Uh,
Once we in person, I have, you know what I mean? Like really sit down and
yeah,
bro, we're gonna talk about all these in more detail. So
yeah.
I'm
Word,
really looking forward to it.
word. Okay, so let's just because we kind of running short on time. Let's get into how did you get into your recent interests and you're doing like I've seen you've been doing like a little bit of yeah oh, journalism, but like well, what would you call it?
You know what's funny, bro? I wouldn't know because I'm the type of person where I'm respectable enough that I know that there's actual journalists doing work. So I don't
Hmm.
like to say that I'm doing journalism because literally I just learned how to access information. That's really all I'm doing. Anybody could do that. Anybody with a phone, anybody with internet, anybody that's curious enough to do what I'm doing. So I don't know. I guess you could say talking. Like I'm just talking about things that I'm realizing, living in New York and going through the experience that we just talked about. Um, here's the point that I want to make, right? Before because I know the conversation we're about to get into. And because I was talking to a friend of mine, I was telling him, isn't it crazy that this thing that we call the internet, right? Which
Hmm.
you could see has evolved in so many different ways. It's become like part of our life now, right? And for future generations. It's crazy that if you don't mind me asking, what year was you born?
95.
Okay, so you're a 90s baby. So ain't it, I'm 94, so we right there.
Hmm.
Ain't it crazy, bro, that the internet that we use so much right now was only public since 1991? And look how much it has changed the landscape of everything. So what I'm trying to say is that technically speaking, we are the first to know like what we're doing with this, right?
Yeah, and me and you,
So
we're kind of in that. Sorry, my bad that I cut you off, but
no,
we're
no,
in
no, go
that
ahead, go ahead.
zone where we experience life before internet and life after internet. And
Yes,
even though that the internet was made before me and you were even born, it didn't go popping until like I was related to until it went mobile. Like right even before the iPhone, it was the sidekicks and like
yeah,
even before that, a little bit like the PSPs, like the PSP,
yeah.
you could have
Dial up,
dial up.
dial
No,
up.
no
You know what I'm
funny shit.
saying? I'm
But
telling you.
once it went
So
mobile, that's when it really like we really gotta count it once it went mobile. Once the internet went
yeah,
mobile, that's when like life really changed.
yeah. So here's what I'm getting at, right?
Hmm.
We have compared to 30 years or even way before, if you want to go that far,
Hmm.
the access that we have to
Hmm.
information, to the
It's
things that we
tremendous.
get to
Yeah.
actually look into and study and see what happened is completely different to our time, right?
Yeah.
So what I've begun to realize, and I could tell you it stemmed back from I would say 2016, right? And everybody goes back to the time that Trump ran for president. Now, I could tell you straight up, I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't like Trump. I was one of those. Trump is gonna. I just wasn't as vocal about it. I didn't really care that much.
Hmm.
But I was one of those that believed Trump was gonna destroy shit. Trump
Hmm.
Trump wasn't good for as our leader or whatever the case may be because I believed the noise. I believed the noise that I was listening to. And I wasn't looking into anything politics because honestly speaking, I believe what most people believe, that politics don't make a difference. So and then we get 4 years of Trump, that happens. a lot of the things that I guess I projected didn't happen, obviously, thank God. And then COVID comes. And COVID to me was an eye opener, just like a lot of people, because I wasn't an anti-vax person, neither was I pro-vax person.
Yeah.
I just felt like I was working at a supermarket when the shutdowns happened. It was like March 2020 when it really like hit the city. It was like,
Yeah,
yo, we shutting shit
March
down.
16th. That
Yeah,
was
2020. I was
mhm.
working at a supermarket in Queens, right? And obviously, hysteria, everybody going to the supermarkets buying things, and I'm seeing how everybody's acting and things like that. And I'm around people, and actually somebody at the supermarket that I worked at died of COVID. So I'm like in the middle. I'm
Early.
like, yeah, like died of COVID. It was an old guy and he delivered groceries. So
Mhm.
imagine that. He was going to people's homes and God knows where he got it, how he got it, whatever. So I was in the middle. I was like, yo, this virus is shaky, but at the same time, yo, this is really going down. So what I'm trying to say is I wasn't either or. What
Mhm.
I what did catch my attention though was the the taking away the freedom of choice. Like to the point where the government is literally deciding because you couldn't even get a job without the vaccine after a certain point. So like luckily for me around that time, that was around the time where I first got into trading. So I'm
Mhm.
already learning how to trade Forex. I'm learning about crypto, all these things. So I'm not really panicking because I'm diversifying my income little by little. But this thing is still going on. So I'm sitting here like, yo, like, is this really normal? Like, if they could do this with this, what else have they really done it for? So that piqued my curiosity. But that's not why I started, like everything. It was just everything that was going on around that time, bro. The BLM riots, right? I was in bro, you was in New York, I'm guessing
Yeah.
at that time. I was in New
Yeah,
York too.
I was out doing messenger work, so I was seeing them
Yeah,
that shit happening. Yeah.
bro, it was crazy. So that kind of opened my eyes too, because I was in a sense where, I at the time I shared a lot of the confusion and the anger of a lot of people, but at the same time I'm sitting here going, yo, but what is breaking down the sneaker stores in Fordham gonna do to getting justice? Like what is that doing? I was on that scale. I was like, I get it why we angry. I just don't get why we doing this. Right. So I don't know. To put it to perspective, it was just a different point of view of things because like have you ever heard the phrase tired of being tired? Like being
Yeah.
tired of being tired? I wasn't at that point, but I was starting to question a lot of things because of that, because of everything that was going on around us. Like, yo, they were able to do that. A lot of people got fired for not getting the vaccine, right? I read that for a vaccine to be approved, it took 3 years. So for this to just be passed and then be forced the way that it was, that to me, bro, I I get it, pre-existing conditions.
Mhm.
There were obviously the elderly and people live with their mom and dads and stuff like that. So I get it. And in no way, shape, or form do I disrespect somebody that decided to take it. But I did it, and I almost did. I almost did, and I ended up, thank God, through waiting and through putting my resume out there, I was able to find employment where I didn't have to take the vaccine. But all of that opened my eyes to so many other questions that just led to like a roller coaster of so many other things. And I started doing my research. I started looking into resources. Um, and mind you, we're still in COVID, so this is the time where people are home. A lot of people are spending time on their phones and stuff like that. I never really, maybe when I was a kid, but I never really considered myself a conspiracy theorist because I felt like that never went anywhere. Like it was always
I
an
love
end to it.
conspiracies since the day
I
one.
like I I I stopped liking it because I never get to the answer. Like it's always
Mhm.
like shit. Like damn. Like now I gotta either look more or I gotta see if this is even true. So, but like I'll look into it. I'll read it just for the sake of knowing about it. But yeah, like it. To put into perspective, it was that, bro. It was COVID, the BLM riots, the Trump presidency, right? The way that he was treated versus what he actually did. And even when you think about Biden being elected, I feel like Biden got elected because of COVID. You know, I didn't vote 2020 election. But if I was to vote at that time with the mindset that I had, I would have voted for Biden because to me, it was a good thing that Biden was giving money to the people. But now we're witnessing
With Trump,
the
you mean?
aftermath. No, because it was 2020. Because
Oh,
Trump signed the first check, the
okay.
first check, and then Biden signed the other two. Which I was having an argument with somebody about that because they were like, "Oh, you only voted you only big enough Trump because of the check that he gave you." I'm like, "But Biden gave us more, so technically, that was the reason, that doesn't even add up." But
Okay. I don't remember. I didn't remember Biden giving more because I thought Biden only gave us one check, but it's all right. Yeah.
nah, yeah, Trump signed because the first one came with the PPP loans, with the small
Yeah.
business loans. Biden came with just the check that everybody was getting. It didn't come with more PPP
And I think
loans.
a lot of people didn't get checks to say the Biden time around. Or am I
Yeah, no,
bugging?
that was a whole shit show. Like everybody didn't get the check at the same time. There are people that waited a whole year to even get that check. There's people that got scammed. There's people paying taxes on those checks right now. You know what I mean? Because they weren't guided on how to properly fill out those forms, and now they got to pay the taxes from whether because I know some people got the one-time check, and then some people got the
Because
got
then
the
there was the
reoccurring one.
unemployment also. There was a
Yeah,
whole bunch of
yeah,
shit.
yeah. So that was a whole shit show. But yeah, a lot of people got paid. People got money
Yeah.
on it.
Okay, so then so the COVID time, so every just seeing like the whole chaos going on in the world, that really intrigued your curiosity for like truth seeking or just like let me do the research myself because that's what I love too. Like I whatever the narrative is, let me look into it. Let me see what's really going on.
Yeah, bro. And like I was, like I told you, I was trading. So like looking into currencies, how the dollar moves, why it moves the
Hmm.
way it does, the news that affects it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So that too, it was kind of like it.
What was like a shining moment of you like, oh shit, wait, they just said this about this and then this just went up or went down. What was the
Yeah.
example
So
of that?
so there was a time. So in trading, we have this thing called NFP week,
Mhm.
where it happens the first Friday of every month, right? It's called non-farmers payroll, right? And
Mhm.
basically, like think about it this way, right? I always try to explain it like if I'm talking to a fifth grader, right? Because there's so many technical numbers going on that if I try to explain everything, it's just gonna take more than this podcast. But to put it short, like imagine all the transactions that go around the world, right? The big banks, the shipping, ships, the oil that they use, electricity, the people they pay, the employments. Most of those transactions either are in process or they get approved on this Friday called NFP week, which is the first Friday of the month,
Yeah.
right? So what happens is that the dollar just starts like that's where the most volatility is in the market, right? Like during and it's a weekly thing. It's called NFP week. So it's the week of the first Friday of the month. So basically the market is volatile for that whole week. So traders, usually inexperienced traders, stay away from the market the first week of the month because of NFP week. People that have experience because they understand volatility, they have like strategies and stuff. They know how to get in and get out because the market is moving fast. So you got to know how long you want to be in it, how much you're willing to risk. So just seeing that, like the fact that every first Friday, like there was a different movement in the market to where, and that was more for people that were scalping. So like people that were like in trades for like a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. They don't want to be in for longer. A lot of people trade those weeks because that's where you want the market to move. Um, so that was one thing. Bank holidays too. Like on bank holidays, the dollar, the U.S. dollar or the federal bank is closed. So because the federal bank is closed, you don't know the accurate price of the dollar. So every other currency is live except for the dollar, and 90% of the market is affected by the dollar. So whatever
Mm.
happens to the dollar affects the rest of the market. So on bank holidays, that's another day where you got to know what you're doing and you can't just hop in the market and just buy and sell. You got to really know where and when to take your sales, which currencies you're going to use. So just things like that, that opened up my curiosity, and then it led to questions about politics and how much if a president was to go up and speak, let's say breaking news, President Biden wants to make an announcement, that affected the movement of the dollar. You know what I
So the
mean? Because
dollar will
think
go
about
up depending on
it, it
his
will go
speech
up,
or down.
it will just move erratically. It will go up and down. It would just go up and down. And remember, you're trading currency, so it's not just the dollar; it's also, let's say, the Japanese yen. So
Yeah.
even though the dollar's moving erratic, the Japanese yen is doing what it does. So those are opportunities to get into a position or two, knowing that.
And then sorry if I'm wrong, correct me
No,
if I'm
no,
wrong,
go.
but and then there's also like smaller currencies that are directly affected by the US dollar. So those currencies are simultaneously dropping as the US currency goes down also?
They
Or not necessarily.
not necessarily, but they're moving. They're
Okay.
moving. When you talk about volatility in the market, it's just movement, right? What you don't want to see as a trader is the market being still for a very long time because it's not giving you any information as to the direction. You want to have the best
So
idea
you
of the
have to see the
direction.
trends.
Yeah, exactly. So you want it to be moving and for you to see volatility. So uh, that's that. And then, there's other world events, wars going on, trade deals going on. There's websites that you could go to and you could see like government contracts being signed that could affect certain currencies. Like I'm telling you, that whole thing about trading is just, to me, I don't recommend it to everybody because it's really not for everybody. But it's one of those things where I'm looking forward to attempt to teach my kids. Not teach them because I'm not an expert. If I get to that point, obviously, I'll do it. But I want to show my kids trading as a
Yeah.
source of income, regardless of whether they want to get into another career. Because I feel like everybody should, just because it's you in the markets. That's it. And obviously,
And
there's a broker that you
that's
use.
trading what? Just currencies and stock market or everything?
Anything, anything, stocks. For I say forex because it's a more international thing. When
Hmm.
you're dealing with stocks, you're mainly. I mean, you could deal with international stocks as well. And that's something that I'm not knowledgeable, so I wouldn't know how to tell you how to deal with that. But when it comes to stock, like in general here in the U.S., yeah, of course, I recommend anybody to get into markets, whether it's crypto, whether it's e-commerce. E-commerce is another market that's making a lot of money right now. It's
As
just you
far
got to
as
find
what?
your niche.
As far like drop shipping and all that?
Yeah, drop shipping. I know Amazon has this thing where like you can
I'm
promote their products. Yeah, like
Yeah, the
things like
partnership
that. Like
programs and all that. Yeah, okay.
yeah, yeah, like things like
Okay.
that is very useful. You know?
Okay, so okay, so all these things inspired your reporting.
Pri- Like
But it
prior
could
knowledge.
Yeah, all this prior knowledge inspired you
Hmm.
to report it. And I get it because it's you're dealing with everything and then you're seeing shit like, oh, hold on, like you're seeing the correlations of events and
Yeah, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, bro. What amazed, as I have to say this, what amazed me about it the most is these are things we ain't taught in school.
mhm,
Like
the
we
secrecy of it.
they don't talk about like it just in the aspects of forex. They don't talk about currencies and the fact that you could trade, and they don't, not that I know of. I'm not into
And what? Oh
financing.
well, so I guess it's called trading, but what is that business called? Is it called trading? Trading currency? Or
Well,
what is?
well, forex is just the market. It's foreign exchange.
Yeah,
It's
because
like
isn't
that's what it's
Forex just
short
like a
for.
play? Forex is the marketplace. Like that's like
It's
saying
the
a
market.
Facebook
Exactly.
or Instagram. Yeah. So, but what
Exactly.
is the actual act?
It's trading. A
Trading.
trader. Yeah, it's trading. And I and
But
and I
what?
think
But do
trading.
you?
Mhm.
Sorry, do you
No,
need
no,
to
no.
get a specific license for this, a certificate, or how?
So you can study trading, whether, so I know there's people so the company that I learned trading from, the CEO was in charge of the foreign exchange department in a bank. I don't remember which bank. I know it was like one of the big banks, like Citibank,
Mhm.
uh Bank of America or something like that. And I know that when you work in these banks, you're actually not allowed to trade because
Hmm.
that's considered a form of insider trading.
Inside trading, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you can get a job in trading. I think there's a degree to it. There's a certain license you gotta have. You have to be certified by the FTC, if I'm not mistaken, or the SEC, or one of those. So there's a way to do it as a job, and then there's a way to do it as an independent investor, which, you just get like a regulated broker. I recommend everybody to use a regulated broker. There's a bunch of overseas brokers that, you can maneuver around for anybody that doesn't have like a social security, or they don't want their funds to be connected to them when it comes to tax season. But yeah, like there's plenty of different ways to this avenue. Or you go work for a prop firm. There's prop firms are like people that have, a lot of money that have accounts that you could trade for.
Hmm.
And I never actually done it. I'm gonna be looking into it. But there's something along the lines where like you trade an account to a certain amount and you get to keep like a percentage of the profits or something like that. So I know experienced traders do that a lot. They prop firm trade where they trade other people's money, they keep the profits, and then they decide whether to put those profits in an account or keep trading that person's money until they get a certain amount. So yeah, there's a lot of avenues to trading to get into. But
Okay.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Like it's not a one trick pony kind of thing. Like it's like real estate. And I'm pretty sure you can go to school for real estate. And then there's people that do real estate on their own, whether through expertise or,
So for the
through
app,
their
but for the
connections.
average Joe Schmo, they do that other thing that you said, right? What was it? So the average
But,
Joe Schmo, how do they get into this?
I would say, man, I I'm usually careful with this because again, it's not for everybody, but I would recommend using a regulated broker.
Regulated. Okay, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Nadex is definitely a regulated broker. NADEX. You could trade forex. So there's plenty of forms of trading, right? There's retail trading, and then there's what people call options, where it's basically like you buying contracts.
Yeah, the trend. Like
Um,
you'll say, oh, this is gonna go down or this is gonna go up.
yeah, and then there's the contracts where it's like there's the
And this is
the
all for
limitation.
currency.
Yeah, well, no, it's stocks too. You could trade
In Forex
options in
and
stocks.
Nadex.
Yeah. In Nadex, you could trade stocks and forex, yes, and crypto and all that. So a lot of
Okay.
brokers, yeah, a lot of brokers they offer getting into all markets, or they may focus on one specific thing like crypto or currency. Like I think Robinhood started off as just stocks, and then they slowly got into crypto. And I'm not really sure if they trade forex. Um, yeah,
And
there's different
so trading Forex is trading
trading
different currencies.
currencies. hmm
Okay.
One currency against the other, basically.
Why is it called
Trading.
Forex? Is because that's why I thought Forex was just a platform.
No. Forex is the market. It's like stocks market,
That's
forex
like that.
market.
That's like Nasdaq.
Yeah, exactly.
Nasdaq. Okay.
Forex is short for foreign exchange.
Oh,
So,
okay.
because you're dealing with different currencies.
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah.
Right.
But the platform, there's different brokers that you can do that with, just like with stocks. You can do Stash, you can do Robinhood, Charles Schwab, and all these other broker firms and stuff like that. For stocks, I'm saying. And shit,
Okay.
for sure. But
All
I
right.
recommend people to diversify like that. Because even with taxes, that helps. You know what I mean? When you buy stocks, especially stocks that pay you dividends, uh, I learned late because I traded forex and I filed taxes with forex 2 years. The second year, I learned that you can actually, I think it's called capital loss tax. I'm not sure of the wording, but basically, where some of the money that you lose, you can actually
Mm-hmm.
get back in your taxes, which is
You
something
write it
that,
off
yeah, like you can write it off as capital loss, because it's coming from the broker. The broker that you use gives you, um,
like a 1099.
Yeah, yeah, of like your profits or like the money that you're holding
Yeah,
and stuff like
everything
that.
that you
So,
did, yeah.
so that it's legit. It's a legit thing. Again, I recommend regulated brokers. If you want to go unregulated, that's fine too. They just play by different rules and they don't always follow them. So just know which regulated brokers you're going to use as far as that. For
So
sure.
it's funny because it's funny you said that because I remember seeing like a meme like it was something like, and I don't know the verbiage or like yeah, I'm not part of that community, but it was something like paying taxes on on something yields is crazy, but basically that you didn't make no money off of it and you still had to pay taxes for it. So was that person just uninformed and they didn't know that you could write it off?
Uh, so I'm gonna I'm not sure because you talking stocks, right? I know
Yeah.
with stocks because stocks has to do more with I know the company that you're buying the stock of has something to do with it as well. So,
Mm.
that may have been the cause, but yeah, maybe they just didn't know. Because again, that was something I found out the second year that I was filing taxes for trading. So I the first year I had already lost that. That was already a done deal for me. Um, so yeah, maybe that was right, but I don't want to set an answer on that just because I don't know,
Yeah, yeah, it's
just to
circumstantial
be
too.
honest. But yeah, definitely, I think that might have been the case because even taxes, like when you invest,
Yeah.
it works well for your tax, and that's something again, another thing that we're not taught in school. My bad,
Yeah.
I'm getting the charger, so I'm moving a little bit.
That's cool. You're still good.
But yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Now, yeah,
Have
so
you have you ever got into that? Have you ever got into that?
during the little COVID rush, probably I want to say probably like in 2020, maybe 2021, I
Yeah, you
did a
like
little
mingled
bit,
with it a little bit.
mingled with it a little bit, but I took what little bread I got out of it. I had a little bit of Doji when it first did the little
Okay.
first sleepy, nothing crazy, but I had made like a
Yeah.
little 250, a little something. I
Nah,
made something.
a lot of people came up just by putting the money in the right place.
Yeah.
Just being told like, yo, put it here, I got you.
But
I
I
that
definitely see how like when certain people do invest into like certain groups that have that like and they put like the different options out. Uh
or
like
like they have like a watch list.
yes.
Got you. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's really good.
Yeah.
Um to
Like I
keep
see
up with
like
for sure.
just putting some bread and like a little bit of those could pay off in the long run. Just from my
Yeah,
little experience. And then I also see like it's an actual thing that you can really make money off of this. It's not like you're not always gonna lose, but I mean then you see like oh this shit is down now. Yeah.
yeah. It's a game, bro. It's a game for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. But it's a game that you can learn how to strategically, like you can learn this stuff. This is a lot of people say it's gambling and guessing, and there is an aspect of that, but there's a reason why there's professional traders, there's average traders, because there's a way to collect the information and make it work to the best of your ability. So it's those aspects too. You gotta learn how to like like in school when you learn how to note take, like how to take notes. I don't know. Yeah, like you learn how to take notes, and when you're reading something or when you go, or even when you're watching a movie, you take notes a little differently versus just
Mhm.
just writing anything down. So it's a lot of that as well, knowing how to collect information, and that's where me like investigating and looking into things comes from too, because for me to know where to best be in the market at the right time, I would do extra. I was willing to go above and beyond to be as right as I can be. In trading, you can never be 100% right. Whoever tells you
Mhm.
that is either try to scam you or straight up lying.
Mhm.
But you could collect as much information as you can to get the best possible outcome. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So let's see.
Okay. So let's get into a little bit of like these worldly news. Well, first I want to get your opinion on the tunnels that were built in your neck of the woods. Can you give me a little bit of
in
info
uh
on any of that?
in Brooklyn,
Yeah.
yeah, no, yo, listen. I so here's the thing about religion in general, right?
Okay.
I believe every religion is a part or a section or a tradition that I do not understand and I have learned not to question, right? Now, when I saw the news of those tunnels, I was just as nervous as everybody else because, bro, it's tunnels. There's mattresses coming out with
That
stains
mattress
on
was
them.
wicked.
What, yo, and they had
Wicked.
stains on them.
The stain
And
was crazy. And then they put a
yo,
crib out after that.
bro, and then they're trying to stop people from like seeing what's there. Like it's already like people. There's cameras already there. Like you're not just gonna. You can't just act like it's not there anymore. Like people see it. So I was nervous. Now I don't know what has come out of it. Um, there was a
Oh,
article that
nothing's gonna
came
come
out.
out of it.
You
Is it
think so? You
crazy?
don't think anything? You don't think
Crazy?
anything is
It's
gonna be
over,
revealed?
buddy. That's all we saw. What we saw, that's it. That's all you get to see, buddy.
I believe you. I believe you. I believe you for sure. But nah, yeah, I don't know. I have reason to believe something's finna come out of that. I don't think I don't think people gonna let that go. Especially with everything going on, bro. I'm telling you, people are not just gonna let that go. People are
My
not just gonna
wild,
you. Yeah.
my wildest like conspiracy brand is like there's underground tunnels, like and everybody got the underground shit, but like niggas made it hop on the Judíos right now, and it's like, oh shit. They can't
Yo,
really say why they're really building it. They're like, damn,
they
they're making it
can't
hot for us.
they can't defend that shit. They can't defend that shit. That's that's where I'm at. Where
The
it's
whole
like you
COVID
can't
explanation was bullshit because it's like, why? We just saw somebody had like tweets about back in December and November that they, yo, I'm hearing Yiddish people underneath my basement floor. Like, I don't know what's going on, bro. I think I'm going crazy. And then,
yo.
and then this shit comes out now,
I
and then
saw
they
the
talk,
COVID story too.
yeah, and then they said they did it for COVID, but it's like, why y'all still building? And then they
Why
also
yeah.
say, then they try to say, oh, that the rabbi, whoever that was, well, God rest his soul, or
There's like a story behind it, right?
yeah, that
I
the
didn't understand. I read it and I didn't understand it. So
so
if
basically
you
the
could
rabbi of that church of that temple, he or synagogue, whatever it is, he um he had plans to expand the synagogue. And
Brandel?
that's about my whole thing. Underground. So he wasn't
A
able to
little.
expand, then he died like in 94, and now they're expanding it underground, apparently.
Oh yeah. I don't know. That's a little too that's not enough for me. So stories like that, like I want to know more. You know what I mean? Like you can't just because I read a story on the mattress too that apparently, and I didn't read the article. I just saw the title that said that the mattress was part of a building that was built over or something like that, or like there's a that like saying like there's an explanation for the mattress. I didn't even bother looking at that story, not because I didn't believe it, but because I don't want to know about the mattress. I want to know about the whole
Why is the
tunnel.
mattress in the tunnel? Who's sleeping there?
Like yeah, like there's no explanation for a mattress to be under this. So honestly, bro, I haven't looked into it. I didn't. I read the story and I still didn't understand it because I read about the rabbi. I read he wanted to expand, but expanding underground, and then it's like this is '94. That's what 30. That's 30 years ago. Like that doesn't that tunnel
Around that
didn't look
time, I'm
like
not sure. That I'm not
it. It
positive.
but it didn't look like it was a tunnel that hasn't been touched or visited in a long time. That should look
No,
like
this is they said this started in COVID. Like that was the explanation during COVID, so they could move freely, even though you were able to go outside. I guess it was the
so.
nighttime.
Before that, they just had it there.
No, there was nothing allegedly.
Oh, that's
Because my whole thing is people just heard like started hearing like the construction. So that mean to me that this was done recently. And
It
then
had to be. It looked like it
and
was
then there were
recent
stories
work.
also. There were stories that they had the migrants working in there. We gotta. I'm gonna try to find some migrants that work that shit.
Oh man, that makes sense though.
They had the migrants
Makes
working in
sense.
that shit.
There's a lot
Allegedly,
of
you could.
there's a lot of property managers like to get work done in their buildings. They're not paying actual people like to do the work because they're going around collecting migrants. So I wouldn't put it past them.
Mhm.
I mean, so
Oh, so that's the thing now that you're seeing? Because oh, you're also in the real estate game, right?
no, so I worked as I was a porter at first. I was working in West Fort for like 2 years, and then now I'm in like Harlem, but I'm like a porter slash maintenance guy. So I paint here and there, you know, I fix things and stuff like that. So but while I was working at West Fourth, like it's a lot of residential buildings, so they're not
Hmm.
very big. The neighborhood kind of know each other a lot, so I got to talk to a lot of people, other supers and stuff like that. So, you know, when and people talk, and yeah, they'll have a problem with a boiler, and instead of getting a plumber or somebody that knows how to do boiler work, they'll get a migrant that knows something about
That
working a
boilers.
boiler or two. You know what I mean? For a way cheaper price than a contractor. You know what I mean? So, and that's dangerous. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because not just because of the fact that you don't know the guy that you're giving the work to, but it's like you don't know
Permits
their
and
expertise
shit.
level. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like, yo, what if it may seem like it's fixed, but a year down the line, the building comes down. Then you know what I mean? It's worse. So,
Okay, so this is also a topic that I love to talk about all the time. It's like the whole migrant situation. We started like on the podcast, we started documenting this little by little, and so I'll just give you my brief overview. I saw like the waves of everything, and like in my area where I work at is around like some warehouses, and then there's some shelters. So I see the different waves of different migrants that come in, and then like they'll come try to ask for work, right? So I just saw everything, and then like also like watching media, like a good like source of info for me was like watching Capricornio. Capricornio,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he did like a little series where everybody was doing
Oh, he
La
did?
Vuelta, yeah, and like they'll explain their
Oh,
stories and like the price. So then
like
like
he spoke with the migrants?
yeah, but like from the
Oh,
Dominican ones,
oh, right,
yeah,
right, right. Oh,
they'll
yeah,
go and
okay.
they'll
Because
come back,
I seen
yeah.
his videos. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so once they'll come back. So then they'll tell their story and say why they came back and how much they paid. And it's basically like 10,000 and then to get to the border and then like 15,000 to get all the way to like wherever you need to go or whatever, right? And then like I'll ask like migrants around here, like, yeah, how much you paid? Like, and they'll be like a lot of money, a lot of money. And I'll
I
be
will
like, yo,
say, man.
10,000. And they're like, yeah. Like that, I'll even ask like the Africans, you get it? Like, because then I met like not met, but like when the people come by, I'll ask them like, yo, what country you from? He'll be like, I got a lot of Senegalese, what's the other one? A couple of countries in Africa, like 4 or 5 countries, not too many. But yeah, a whole bunch are coming through. The Venezuelans, that's all of them.
You know, it's crazy. I read that it's mainly Middle Eastern and Asians coming over the border.
Now, but it's
Yeah,
coming in waves, bro. Like I'm telling you, like at first it was like esto, yes, or yes, or yes.
yeah.
And it's like who else gonna come? You get it? It's like everybody's coming through.
But like in the past 3, 4 years, like it's just to me, bro, when I think about things like that, it's the timing of
Hmm.
everything. Right. I just now seen a video of a guy that I guess because there's people in Texas, people that live in Texas by the border are like
Yeah,
interviewing the people coming in too.
I've seen a bunch of
Yeah,
those too.
yeah. And there's a guy that's I guess he went up to him asking him like, oh, like where you from? Like you know, like why you coming? And the guy's telling him like, yo, don't worry, like you'll find out who I am soon, type
Oh
shit.
yeah, that one
I
was
would,
wicked.
bro, and
It-
yo, and I actually have the story of who he is.
who is he?
You wanna?
Break the
I got
news.
you right
I
now.
need to know this.
I got you right now, bro. They
Cause I
it
was
actually
like he's feeding into that
hmm?
narrative that it's like
They actually found out who he was.
he's
I think I retweeted it on Twitter. I wish I hope I saved it. Oh wait, no, I hope I saved it. I know I saved it. But once I have it, bro, I'm gonna send it to you, and you could even like share your screen and show it real quick. Cause yo, he is part of a government in one of those Middle Eastern countries, but he's like a fascist. Like
oh
he's one of
yeah.
those. Yeah, like he's one of those. Like,
Oh,
but
so
he's
he
a
was
gen.
Middle Eastern. I thought he was Spanish.
Nah, it's a Middle East. But this is what I'm telling you. It's mostly Middle Eastern and Asians coming in for the past 2 years. For the past 2 years, it's been, but before,
I mean, but this
obviously,
is
it was
all
people.
recent though. This is all recent. This is all in the past 2, 3 years when they did the open border situation.
Yeah, yeah. Since COVID, I would say.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Since COVID, I would say.
La Vuelta a México.
And now they took off the. I don't know if you've seen. They took off the because Texas had put barbed wire on
Yeah.
their border, and the Supreme Court just told them to take it off. So literally, there's border patrol agents helping these people come. Yo, bro, it's insane. I gotta look for that. I really do gotta look for that. I gotta see where I found. But bro, yeah, I found out who he was. It was all over the internet. I just gotta find who tweeted it. And as soon as I find it, I got you. But
Not
yo,
yet.
it's wicked, bro. And that's not. Oh, here it is. Here it is. You want me to
Send
share
it
it to you?
to hold on. Hold on. Send it.
Oh
Hold
no, wait.
on.
I could send it on this chat. I don't know if it'll
Yeah,
work.
send it in the chat. Send it in the chat real quick and then I'll open it up.
Uh, uh, to the laptop. Copy. Here it goes. Tell me that's not wicked. Wicked stuff.
See, 'cause I haven't shared on this yet.
Yeah, it's him. The Azerbaijan Islamic Party is a banned Islamist party in Azerbaijan. I don't even know where that is.
Okay. All right. So is this him? Movsum Samaveb leads the Al. Hold on. The Azerbaijan Islamic Party. They have close ties to Hezbollah. He was jail. Oh my God. I mean, that doesn't
Bro,
look like him right away. Let me see. Is it him? They have jail. He was jailed for 12 plus years on charges of attempts of organized terror attacks to overthrow the government. He was released in January 19th, 2023. Middle Eastern illegal migrants. That's the
he
video.
said you'll find out soon. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Bro, it's wicked, bro. It's weird. Like, and that's the thing too. That's what people don't see. Like, and this is where it comes down to, right? When it comes to talking about the things that I've been posting and talking about, is that, bro, they're only showing the families that's coming with the kids and the
I mean, that's what I was
older
gonna
and the
tell you.
old
I
people.
saw a lot of that.
That's all they're showing, but that's not all there is, bro. These are military age men, 20, like men that 21, 20, 23. You see the people that are getting caught, the migrants that are getting caught that are committing crimes, mid-20s. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Just turned
Criminals
21,
too.
just turned 22.
Some of them too come out of jail too. Like like
Yeah, yeah, but came
in
out of jail
certain
in their
countries.
country and
Yeah.
came. Exactly. So, it's and then on top of the fact that we don't have it like that. Our economy is horrible. New York gets it the worst besides California. New York gets it the worst all the time. So it's like, I have a heart. I understand people need help. And,
Hmm.
I just from my father alone, like I've always had a big heart for people. But bro, you know what I mean? As somebody who wants to grow a family, who wants to one day, hopefully, even though, things are expensive and there's processes, but one day want to own a business in New York and actually have an environment. Like, yo, when we were kids, we used to be able to play football on the block. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about like 7 on 7, 2-hand touch. The adults were the quarterbacks and the kids were all the wide receivers. Like, we used to be able to do that outside in the open, the adults on the side doing their thing and stuff like that without, you know what I mean? Like, kids weren't running around with guns, bro. Now
Yeah.
it's a lot of that. Like,
Well, back
it's
then it'll be like one or two. Now it's like everybody almost damn near got one.
everybody, bro, everybody. So, and even like I start to think, right? Like, you remember in high school, especially, like I was already smoking in high school. But in
Yeah.
high school, how we used to say, like, yo, you know what I mean? Like when they legalize weed and this, that, and the third is gonna be lit. We're not gonna get tickets, all this. Now it's like, bro, you got smoke shops freaking putting fentanyl, spraying a weed. They putting fentanyl in grava, you know, the papers now, you gotta look up like so it's like we ask for certain things that it
My whole
sounds
thing with the whole fentanyl things and all of that, I feel like those be like isolated situations. Is like, bro, how the fuck, like, what businessman is gonna put a lethal drug into something so insignificant as a fucking grabber that's $2? You got it.
Yeah, I think it comes down to ignorance because if you look at the people that are getting in trouble about these things is mainly young people. It'll probably be one or two in their mid 30s, going to 40s type of things, you know what I mean, that are still in the street life. But I think one is ignorance and two is the desperation to make money, right? Like I'm not gonna say too much, but I've been around people who have had products and sometimes if you don't get rid of it for a
Yeah.
certain time, it you know what I mean? You gotta make adjustments, whether it's to the price or to the way that they're giving it out. So it's like it's that, bro. It's the hunger for money. The people are that
Mhm.
desperate to make money to get out of the situation, especially when you're somebody who doesn't know how to handle money. You may make a lot of money, spend it all, and then you want to make it again. And that time that you try to make it again, now you're even more desperate to have it because you already had it once. So I mean, you know, it's a lot of avenues this could come out of. You know, I'm not saying that this is automatically the thing, but you know, one has to wonder because again, like these are things that I think about. I like when you ask me, you know, what led to the way that, you know, to through my thought process, I'm explaining to you the difference between how I used to be to now. Where it's like
Mhm.
how I used to be, I used to wish for those things. Where it's like, yo, yeah, like legalize weed, you know what I mean? Which I still think is good, even you know, even though with all these things, I still think it's good. I still think marijuana can move us in the right direction if we do it responsibly. And I think that's the part that when we were younger as kids, when we would ask for these things, we that's the part that we didn't even bother to think about because you know, we young. We have a certain aspect of life. So now that you've grown up, now that you learn about certain things, it's like, okay, I can see like I know the saying, there's a saying that is like too much of something good is bad,
Mhm.
right? Like if you drink too much water, it could be bad for your health, right? Water's good for you, but if you drink too much of it, it's bad for you. Food is good, but if you do too much of it, bad for your health. Drinking is okay, but if you do too much of it, it's bad. So it's like when we ask for all these amazing things, for example, like I said, the you know, legalizing weed, but then you have the bad actors that do things like this. It's like it shows you as to why there needs to be a sense of responsibility included in the process of making these things happen. Um,
But there are, but you know, in some of these places, because a whole bunch of these smoke shops and shit are were illegal at a point, and like they didn't have their licenses and shit like that.
so here's my next point. Now that you mentioned that, right? In my
Yeah.
research, right, and what I'm going to be talking about in my podcast, I'm going to be talking about a lot on city council politicians, right? One of those city council politicians, his name is Christopher Martin,
Mhm.
right? He's a city council member for the Lower East Side. I can't remember what streets exactly, but he's a council member for there. His brother is an ex-con. His brother is an ex-gang member. You know, he had his time on the Lower East Side. He spent a couple of years, comes out of jail, and now he's a marijuana advocate,
Mhm.
right? He goes around, he speaks out. You know, he goes around doing presentations, you know, as to like why we should legalize weed and things like that and stuff of that nature. and he has a store. It's the biggest dispensary in the city. It's called Conbud.
Okay.
Conbud. Conbud, right?
Hmm.
If you look at the location, we're in the Lower East Side, right? There's about 20 smoke shops surrounding Conbud, and it's just so funny that just last week they just closed a lot of those smoke shops because they were selling illegal marijuana. And I'm not gonna lie, I've spoken to some of these people, and partially it's because it takes long to regulate, right? Like it really is a really long process
Hmm.
to regulate a lot of the licenses. Now, I can't speak for all of them because some of them might have not even tried to regulate. Some of them probably, try to do it behind closed doors, whatever. The point is that they do the sweep. Some of those people are waiting for their licenses. They still, get indicted or whatever the case may be. And I just find it funny that a couple months after this council member's brother gets his license and get his store running, that they do the sweep. He
Yeah.
basically eliminated his competition from the Lower East Side. So now that's one of the few smoke shops that is still standing. So again, it's things like that keeps our government corrupted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And those are the things I'm going to be talking about on the podcast for sure.
Definitely, man. Yeah. Where, man. So, I mean, it's been an interesting talk, bro. But I feel like this is a perfect spot to wrap it all up. But yo, let the people know where they can find you and
Um,
everything that you're gonna be doing.
yeah. My Instagram is Wall Street Narco, just like that. Wall Street Narco with two O's at the end. That's my personal Instagram. I'm gonna be doing some changes because I gotta make an Instagram for the podcast.
Hmm.
You can find me on Twitter. My podcast is called I So Boom. So AIGHT So Boom. Um, that's the Twitter handle. It was my personal Twitter, but now I changed it to the Twitter of the podcast. So Twitter or X, now that it's called. That's mainly where I'm at. Like if you want to talk to me, if you want to see what I post, if you want to engage with me, I would say definitely hit me up on Twitter. I'm growing my Instagram following slowly. And yeah, like I said, just be on the lookout for the release of my podcast. I'll be announcing the date very, very soon, hopefully this weekend. And maybe I'll have you on and we could continue some of this conversation,
No, yeah,
and get into some of
definitely.
these topics more deeply.
Definitely. If you need me to help you out with anything, let me know. And also when once you start it, definitely have you on again, and we'll
Yeah,
continue these conversations. Because I know we just hit on the tip of the iceberg. We didn't do deep dives
yeah,
into much of anything really. But
yeah,
yeah, man, just like that, guys, it's been a great episode. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Leave some comments. Let us know some of your opinions. Make sure you follow Brandell on all of his platforms, and be on the lookout for the new podcast, man. He's gonna be providing some very dope content for you guys. And just like that, guys, it's been a great episode. Peace.
yeah.